Hello and welcome to Prepare for IELTS. I'm Ian, a former IELTS examiner and a native speaker of English, and in this video we're going through a Part 2 speaking cue card to describe an ambition you have not achieved. It's a tough question to ask. You need to say what your ambition is, what you've done to try to achieve it, why you haven't achieved it, and explain how you feel about it. Let's move straight on to our model answer and look at some of the key language there. And firstly, dozens of, meaning quite a large number of, lots of, or many of. And of course, candidates very often say lots of or many of, but dozens of is a more complex alternative. If you set yourself a goal or set yourself a target, you give yourself a target or an aim which you want to achieve. This is a very nice phrase which the IELTS examiner will appreciate and give you credit for. Proficiently is a very nice adverb. We have the adjective proficient and the noun proficiency, and it means at a very high level without making mistakes, showing lots of skill and experience. So you can play chess proficiently, or you can speak a language proficiently. You can have a proficient level of Korean or Japanese, or you can be in a class for students with proficiency. If you succeed in doing something, you achieve what you aimed for or what you plan to do. And look at the structure here. We can succeed in and use an ing form, succeed in becoming a doctor or succeed in learning Japanese. If you are mesmerized by something, you concentrate fully on it and can't think about anything else. And dexterity is a noun to mean the ability to do something quickly, skillfully, and effectively with your hands. If you plead with somebody to do something, then you make a strong emotional request. You say, please, please, please do that. And again, note the preposition with, so you can plead with somebody. And to beg has a similar meaning, but it uses a different structure. So we don't have with, you can beg somebody to do something. I begged my teacher to let us leave class early, for example. If you buy something second hand, then it's not new. And committed is a lovely adjective, willing to give a lot of time and energy to something. So when you're describing the positive characteristics of a person, you might say, oh, he was a very committed teacher. You might also say that she is a very enthusiastic doctor, willing to put a lot of energy into an activity, being very keen to be involved in things. So you might know the noun enthusiasm, you might know the adverb enthusiastically, you might even know the term an enthusiast to describe a person who loves an activity very much. So always learn the words and learn the members of the word family. This can boost your vocabulary really quickly and get you the IELTS grade you need. More language. If you do something from dawn till dusk, it means that you do it from the beginning of day until the end. So dawn is the time in the morning when light first appears in the sky, and dusk is the time in the evening when the last light, the last sunlight is in the sky. So you can work from dawn till dusk. You work all day. If your interest or your enthusiasm wanes or begins to wane, it means you start to feel less interested or less enthusiastic in something. For example, at first you love studying English, it's absolutely great, and then you don't see much progress and your enthusiasm begins to wane. Let's hope that doesn't happen to you. To date is a very nice verb, to regularly meet somebody who you have a romantic relationship with. So you could go on a date with somebody or you can date them. And to take up, to start doing a new sport or activity. You might take up ballet dancing or piano or judo. And of course, in the speaking exam, the IELTS examiners love these two-part verbs, made with a verb and a preposition or an adverb. This is a common feature of spoken English. So if you can use prepositional verbs or phrasal verbs, the examiner is going to give you lots of credit. We have more of those coming up. Stretching, and this means pulling something so that you make it longer, or making part of your body very straight so that it is as long as possible. If you are going to do physical exercise, you probably do some stretching first. And if you are disillusioned, or you get or become disillusioned, then you start to feel disappointed about something when you discover it's not as good as you expected. So if you start playing piano and then you realize you're never going to be the best pianist in the world, well, maybe your enthusiasm begins to wane and you feel disillusioned. It's not as great as you thought it was. If you improve in leaps and bounds, then you get better very quickly. Your ability to do something improves quickly. So let's hope that by watching these IELTS video, your level of IELTS preparation is improving in leaps and bounds. And to end up, another of these two-part verbs. And to end up means to finally be in a particular place or situation. So if you say that the piano ended up sitting in the dining room, you mean that's its final place or its final position. If something gathers dust or collects dust, it remains unused for a long time. And a bitter pill to swallow. This is a lovely idiomatic expression. IELTS examiners love these expressions in the speaking test. It means a truth which is very unpleasant, but which you must accept. So if you realize finally that you are not going to be the world's greatest pianist when you thought you were, it's a bitter pill to swallow. If you make the grade, then your level is good enough to succeed. And to set out, another of these two-part verbs which the examiners love, made with a verb and an adverb or a preposition. And to set out means to start an activity with a particular aim or goal or target. So if you set out to do something with an infinitive, set out to become a great pianist, then that is a way of describing your aim or your ambition. To accomplish means to finish something successfully, to achieve what you wanted to achieve. If you manage to achieve something difficult, you can call it an accomplishment. And if you let somebody down, you disappoint that person because you do not do what you said or promised you would do, or what they expected you to do. So if you promised to take your daughter to the cinema and then you don't, she can say, "Oh, you've let me down." Now we're going to read through the whole of the answer so you can see this language in context. I'm afraid to say that there are dozens of goals I've set myself and not managed to achieve. I promised myself that by the time I was 20, I would be able to speak Russian proficiently and would be the world's top chess player. Sadly, I haven't succeeded with either of those things. But the failure that hurts most is my inability to learn to play the piano properly. When I was about 10, my auntie took me to a concert. I was mesmerised by the speed and dexterity of the pianist's fingers and by the wonderful sound the instrument created. As soon as I got home, I pleaded with my parents to let me have lessons and begged them to get me a piano. Eventually, they bought a second-hand one. At first, I was really committed and enthusiastic. I practiced from dawn till dusk. I was sure my dream of becoming a concert pianist would come true, but after a while, my interest began to wane. Schoolwork got in the way. I started dating another student and took up judo. As well as that, the stretching exercises I had to do made my fingers ache. I got a bit disillusioned, partly because I wasn't exactly improving in leaps and bounds. So the piano ended up sitting in the dining room, gathering dust. It was a bitter pill to swallow, and I realised I wasn't going to make the grade. I suppose I disappointed myself by not doing what I set out to do. I like to see myself as someone who can succeed and accomplish things. I let myself down. Okay, quiz time. We hope you're not going to let yourself down by doing badly in our quiz. Here are the questions with some of the great language. Our cat sat looking at the snow for hours. She couldn't take her eyes off it. She was... What do you think she was? Well, definitely not memorized, and definitely not enthusiastic, and definitely not waned. The answer is, of course, mesmerized. The cat was mesmerized looking at the snow. Next question. I something my parents to buy me a guitar, but they said they didn't have enough money. So be careful here, because there is a difference between to plead and to beg. Which one is the right one? It is, of course, I begged. So you can beg somebody to do something, but you can plead with somebody to do something. Hope you got that one right. Next one, I bought a something car because I couldn't afford a new one. And the answer is second-hand. A second-hand car, a car that had a previous owner. And the best ice skaters in the world usually take something, the sport, at the age of 2 or 3. So when you start a new activity or a sport, you take it up. Moving on. He's crazy about the piano. He wants to be a concert pianist and he practices from dawn till... Be careful, there are some very similar words here, but the answer is dusk. This is the time of day when the last light is in the sky, from dawn till dusk. And I loved chess at first, but when I realized I was never going to be the best in the world, I became, and of course it is, disillusioned. Moving on, this time you have to find the missing word. I haven't picked up my guitar for years. It's in my bedroom gathering, and of course it's gathering dust. Well done if you got that one. When my teacher said I wouldn't make the grade as a ballet dancer, it was a... And of course, this is something that the doctor might give you, bitter pill, or a bitter pill to swallow. At first, I wasn't much good at Minecraft, but I improved in... A phrase to mean you improve very quickly. I improved in leaps and bounds. And I should have kept my promise to take you to the concert. I'm sorry I let you down.